So Games Workshop's promising big reveals for Warhammer 40k, and have even confirmed one of the factions that they're going to be revealing for. Let's talk about what's likely to be coming at their next preview online next Wednesday. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're talking 40k reveals and focusing on Games Workshop's Nova Open preview. That's going to be their next major event online, foretelling us what's coming in terms of new rulebooks, miniatures, and how 40k is going to be moving forward in general. Let's talk about what their event is, the rather interesting hint that they've dropped for what's going to be coming, and what else they might decide to show off. So basically the big news is that the next big 40k preview is going to be coming at the Nova Open. This one's going to be on the 31st of August or the 1st of September, depending on where you live in the world. It's a big US tournament event for 40k with plenty more going on besides, and it's going to be happening in around about a week's time on the Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday if you live in the US, Thursday in the early hours of the morning if you live in Europe. The Nova Open previews have often been a fairly major 40k reveal one. Games Workshop often do like to tie in their reveal calendar with big events, so I think it's pretty much guaranteed that they'll have something interesting for 40k. Obviously, depending on your faction though, it might not necessarily be something that you want to pick up yourself. I'll certainly cover any of the 40k reveals here on the channel, so feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see that. I'll hopefully get a video out fairly shortly after. Usually with these previews, Games Workshop tells us what factions are going to be getting some coverage. 40k is one of the four. As well as that, they're going to have at least something for Sigmar, the Horus Heresy, and Warhammer Underworlds. So would bear in mind that if you're a fan of the grim darkness of the far future, probably only half of the reveals out of this are likely to be for that. It's not going to be an entire hour of just things for 40k. In general, with these online reveal sessions over the last year or so, sometimes they have underwhelmed people a bit. I feel like in general they might be learning from that a little bit though, and only calling these reveal sessions and targeting them at 40k when there's actually something interesting to show off. At least the last couple where they've said that there's something specific for 40k, it has been at least fairly meaty in content, with a fair few new plastic kits or new rulebooks announced. In their teaser trailer for the event, Games Workshop did say that there will be big reveals coming on their hype vid for it, though to be honest I think they've almost got to say that just to promote the thing. I guess we will see just how interesting it's going to be. From what they've already teased us though, it does sound like there's going to be at least something major for one 40k faction. So at the moment we do actually know a fair bit of the 40k release schedule over the next year or so. Plenty of things have leaked out or been very heavily rumoured, and perhaps the factions that are going to be tips for getting the most attention are Leagues of Votann, Imperial Guard, World Eaters, and some Space Marines. There might well be more besides that, but it sounds like they're going to be the next major release waves. Foremost amongst them, we can guarantee that the Leagues of Votann are definitely going to get something previewed at this event. Warhammer Community posted a little aside at the bottom of that latest Thunderkin preview. I made a video on the Leagues of Votann heavies with the big guns last night, basically saying that if you wanted to find out more for the Leagues of Votann, check into this reveal session, and that the preview for the Leagues of Votann will be bigger than anything that they'd shown off so far. For me, that gives us two possibilities for what they might decide to show off for these new sci-fi space dwarfs. Either it could be a reveal of the biggest model that's going to be coming for the faction when it launches, or it could be a launch box for the faction, which I'm pretty sure is how they'll choose to unleash the faction, at least initially. If it happens to be a really big model that's shown off, I think we probably already know the name for it. The Leagues of Votann had some stratagem cards leaked a little while back, and at least one of them mentioned that they'd be getting something called a land fortress, very likely the biggest and heaviest tank or vehicle that they can field. So far for the previews, we've kind of only seen infantry elites and some scout vehicles. We've not really seen any proper battle tank for the faction, and it seems like the land fortress might be that. I think a lot of people are hoping that it might be kind of similar to the squat land trains that they had in Epic back in the day. Will be interesting to see how that's interpreted for 40k, particularly adapting the old squat models and lore to how the Leagues of Votann with their augmented cybernetic things might use them in the 41st millennium. The other option could be the actual launch box for the Leagues of Votann. At the moment we're kind of in the dark for the Codex release schedule for 40k. Demons is the next one and will be coming out on Saturday, and usually GW does like to let us know what codexes are going to be coming next for the game. At the preview they might well tell us that the Leagues of Votann codex will be the next one, and it seems likely that as with other armies that they've launched, such as the new Sisters of Battle range, the Chaos Knights, the Beast Snagger Orcs, or the Primaris Black Templars, they would probably come initially in a launch box containing a bunch of models at a very slightly discounted price, alongside things like the faction data cards and the new codex. I think that would equally fit the bill as a big release that's bigger than anything that's come before. We've seen lots of squads previewed, so it looks like they're going to have a fairly extensive range at launch, but actually seeing how the factions are going to be delivered into the game, I think would generate quite a lot of hype. If that is the case, then I guess that would drop a few weeks or months before the range releases in full. That's the way it's happened for those other launch box sets. You'd be able to buy the big bundle and get your hands on the codex early if you got that, rather than waiting for all the individual kit releases. Finally, even if they do show off these big things, it's not to say that they might not show off some other things for the Votann. Besides land fortresses, we have also had a few hints at other units and characters. GW showed off this Ironkin engineer, which supposedly will be tending to bigger robots than him. My guess is that the Leagues of Votann will get some slightly bigger fighty Castellan-style robots that they can field in their ranks. One of their big faction HQ choices is also going to be a psyker called a Grimnir as well. Perfectly reasonable that they might show off a character or so too. And I do wonder if they might really try and pursue the Dwarves in Space aesthetic to the maximum, and maybe give them an option for something like a gyrocopter. We have had quite a lot of their other themes explored already. We've got some Berserkers, some Thunderer-style units, and reimagined squat bikes, and apparently a land train. A reimagined helicopter thing from the days of fantasy doesn't sound out of the possibilities. Otherwise, if we aren't just seeing Votann, then another big possibility could be some of the new guard kits that have been rumoured for a while. And now we've got demons out of the way, out of current factions in the game, the guard are the only one who haven't seen their 9th edition codex released yet. They've pretty much got to be coming sometime soon. At the moment, with the sheer amount of Votann previews that they've been giving us, I do kind of wonder whether or not guard might actually get their codex after the squats, which will be kind of meme levels of unfortunate. We of course had this big teaser picture leaked earlier in the year, and Games Workshop responded by revealing proper pictures of Mrs. Ursula Creed, the new Kazakin, and the new Sentinel, but there are quite a lot of other things in the picture that they didn't touch on. I guess they could potentially show off the rest of the Kazakin squad in this preview, though it seems a bit unlikely, as by the bases it looks like they're going to be a Kill Team release, and Kill Team isn't one of the games that's going to be previewed this time round. To be honest, I think just about any announcement of the Codex will be a big win for guard players, but to be honest, the Codex isn't likely to drop without all of these nice new miniatures, so hopefully they'll start dropping teasers of these guys in the not too distant future. For the new guard range, in this shot we can also see new revamped versions of the heavy weapon teams, a new command squad sculpt, what looks like a new veterans kit or maybe a special weapons kit for Cadians. That one's a little bit blurry in the back of the photos. There's going to be a new Lord Commissar model, presumably to replace the resin one. And then not pictured here are two other rather interesting kits that have been heavily rumoured. Apparently Rough Riders will be getting a resculpt, and we have seen the end of a Hunting Lance teased in Warhammer Communities previews. And then there's this big Rogaldorn heavy tank, somewhere between a Lehman Russ and a Baneblade. That one's been mentioned by multiple sources. They really do have quite a lot of options for things that they could show off for the guard. It's just a question of when this massive release wave is coming. Is it going to be in the near future, towards the end of 2022, or is it going to be depressingly later than that? Maybe the biggest question is, will the Votann come out before the guard, or the guard before the Votann? It sounds like it's going to be one or the other, and that's the biggest question for GW to confirm. Otherwise, to touch on other armies, the possibilities are World Eaters, Space Marines, or maybe campaign book supplements for 40k. My guess is that World Eaters and Space Marines are going to be further out, past the Votann and the Guard. GW have shown off this Khorne Berserker for the World Eaters, and shown off Angron, though Angron was only shown off out of necessity because his model leaked. There'll be plenty more coming for the World Eaters range, including the rest of that Khorne Berserker squad to see. The Red Butchers Terminators, which I think we already saw the corner of in that leaked image. It looks like they've got some bigger, muscly, blood-mad faction-specific cultists, maybe some Khorne Gors of some sorts, though I think just about anything would be interesting. And I think I'm pretty certain that they'll have even more to come besides just that core of units, quite likely a nice host of characters, and I'd hope similar to the Death Guard they might get some fun blood-mad demon engines. Then I'd guess maybe dropping at a similar sort of time to the World Eaters, there's going to be a new Space Marine revamp, a new codex, and reprinted books for things like Ultramarines and the codex compliant chapters. The rumoured kits for them were at least a Redemptor variant with some sort of melter weapon, and some more Primaris jump infantry of some sort. I've heard different rumours as to what they might be armed with, whether or not it's Bombard style weapons, or finally some actual jump pack assault Primaris, one of the most obvious gaps in their range compared with Firstborn. Finally, I want to feel is perhaps fairly likely to come up in these previews is that they might well show off a Nephilim campaign book. Also, Nephilim's got its main Grand Tournament pack thing, but usually they have a couple of different campaign supplements throughout the quote-unquote season. Nephilim's the section with the Pariah Nexus in the galaxy. The Grand Tournament pack had a big Necron on the front, so it seems quite likely that at least one of these campaign supplements is going to have some interesting stuff for the Crons. Perhaps similar to Tyranids, we might get the expansion of one of the dynasties. Maybe it could be Zarakan or Sotek or something, and maybe some sort of army of renown. They could theme one round destroyers, maybe, or maybe a Canoptech heavy themed Necron list, perhaps. In general, in the past, Necrons might have needed the help a bit, but currently they're doing rather well in 40k though. Still, though, it might be interesting to have Necron players have a few different options for playing the army, besides builds that centre around the Silent King. So overall, I think there's plenty of interesting possibilities. Looks like we'll be getting at least some more new squat goodness. I think it would be really quite nice to see a launch box for them. I feel like they've been teasing and hyping the models for so long now that they should probably just get it over with and release them. Plenty of people are looking forward to them, and for those who aren't, at least then they'll be moving on to other things. Let me know your thoughts, ideas, and wild speculations down in the comments below, including anything that I might have missed as to the previews. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'll certainly be covering the preview in full once we get the details. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that links down in the video description. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, including seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. It is what allows me to keep these videos coming quite so regularly, so if you are enjoying a lot, any support is massively appreciated. In any case, an enormous thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.